let's dive straight in. Section 4. No, bats aren't blind. Go walk into a wall if you don't believe me. Alright, let's throw this myth on the table and smash it once and for all. Bats? Blind? Babe, if bats were blind, they would have gone extinct like forever ago. Back when we were still fumbling around with flashlights looking for our keys, bats were out there in total darkness, hunting like they had built-in GPS. Seriously, I have no idea where this rumor that bats are blind even came from. Maybe because they come out at night. People just assume they rely only on sound or something. And okay, yeah, they do have an insanely cool audio system. It's called echolocation. It's kinda like when your mom yells from the other room, you better not have broken that glass again. And based on the tone and direction of the yell, you instantly plot your escape route. Exactly the same thing. They send out sound, it bounces back, and bam, they know if something's in their way or not. Medieval tech, baby. But that does not mean their eyes are out of service. No, a lot of bats actually have pretty solid eyesight, especially the ones that are active during the day. Some of them can even see colors better than we can. Like, if a bat ever showed up at your party and saw you wearing a clashing outfit, it might just fly into a wall from how offended it is by your color choices. And then, of course, someone always pops up like, no way, I saw in a cartoon once. They hang upside down and they're blind. Sweetheart, in Tom and Jerry, the mouse whacks the cat with a hammer, and the dude just flips over and gets back up in 2 seconds with 0 injuries. You think cartoons are a scientific documentary now? Fun fact, certain bats, like the fruit bat, aka the fruit-obsessed diva of the bat world, have big ol' adorable eyes. Like, if you looked at one, you'd think it just got fresh contact lenses. With those peepers, they scan the trees and pick their snacks like a pro. Sometimes, they even get picky. Like, ugh, this mango isn't ripe yet, bring me the other one. So please, next time someone says bats are blind, hit him with a cold, silent bat stare. Pause for dramatic effect, then say, yeah, just like you who walks into walls in broad daylight. You know what the deal is? Us humans love repeating stuff without checking if it's even true. One person said bats are blind, and everyone else went, oh wow, makes sense. They're out at night, so they must be blind. Well, okay then. What about owls? They're night owls, literally, but no one's out here calling them blind. In fact, owls can probably see better than your car's side mirror. Bottom line, bats are not blind. In fact, they see better than a lot of us, with both their ears and their eyes. If we had to do what bats do, fly through the night dodging branches and power lines, we'd still be wandering around, lost, nose broken, phone drowned in a gutter. So please, starting tomorrow, if anyone tells you bats are blind, just give a little whistle and say, nah, honey. The blind one was the genius who started that rumor. Section 3. Stress doesn't make your hair go gray, or does it? Wait, hold up. Okay, let's be real for a second. How many times have you heard someone in the middle of a meltdown say, this semester turned my hair gray, or ever since I met that person, I've sprouted 3 gray hairs? So the question is, does stress really turn your hair gray, or is it just a fancy excuse to stop buying dye? Look, it's complicated, but don't worry, I'll break it down in my own weird little way. Picture this. Your brain is like an office. When everything's chill, the employees are happy, there's free bananas, everyone's vibing, and your hair looks fabulous. But then boom, stress kicks the door open like an angry boss yelling, everybody freeze, crank up the cortisol, now. And just like that, chaos. A bunch of cells that handle hair color, called melanocytes, yeah, fancy name, forget it, start getting tired. Then they're like, you know what, we're out. You do the coloring yourself. And just like that, hello, silver strands. Now, some people claim stress only makes your hair fall out, not go gray. Fair. But scientists, aka the usual victims of all experiments, poor mice, did a study. They stressed the mice out. Not like I forgot my password stress, more like there's a cat trying to eat you stress. And their hair slowly started turning gray. Did the mice say, oh no, I'm so stressed? No, but their little mouse faces said it all. So yeah, extreme long-term stress might mess with your hair color. But if your latte spilled or you flunked a quiz and suddenly found a gray hair? No, buddy, that's your DNA talking. If your whole family's rocking the silver fox look early in life, stress is just tagging along for the ride. You're joining the silver army, like it or not. What a fun fact, Abraham Lincoln, yep, that president guy, was rumored to have gone fully gray overnight after one super stressful night. Like BM, white hair. Either he saw something wild we'll never know about, or someone made up a spicy story to jazz up his biography. Science isn't sold on the idea that hair can go gray overnight, unless someone bleached your head while you were sleeping. Yeah, stress can mess with your hair color, if it's chronic and intense. But thinking every time you get a text from your mom, or see your electricity bill that another gray strand is born? Chill out. It doesn't work like that. If your hair's going gray, blame your genes or your age. Not that math test or your aunt fighting the neighbor again. In the end, doesn't matter what color it is, just love your hair, because one day, it might all fall out, and you'll be besties with your hat. Section 2. We only have 5 senses. Then who the heck has the 6th one? Spider-Man? Alright, everybody say it with me, real slow. We have 5 senses. Sight, hearing, smell, taste, and touch. Beautiful. Well done. Now, throw that in the trash can. Because buddy, reality is way messier. 5 senses? That's it? Then what's that feeling you get when someone's staring at you from behind and you just know it? Or when you walk into grandma's house and, without even seeing food, you're like, she's making that stew again. Is that magic? Telepathy? No, that's a sense, my dude. See, humans love to oversimplify stuff. 5 senses, the end. But scientists, yeah, the ones who name cells like they're casting spells, say we've got way more than 5. If you lined up all our senses, it'd be a full soccer team with subs on the bench. Take your sense of balance, for example. Thanks to it, you know which way your head's pointing. If you didn't have it, every time you bent over to tie your shoes, you'd faceplant into grandma's potted fern. But no, you bow down gracefully. That's balance, baby. Or how about temperature? When someone hands you a hot mug and without even seeing steam you go, OUCH, that's hot. That ain't just touch. That's a whole separate sense called thermoception. Sounds like a Marvel villain, but really, it's your internal thermostat. And then there's body awareness. Like right now, without looking, you know exactly where your foot is. That's not a Jedi mind trick. That's a sense too. It's called proprioception. Don't ask how to pronounce it. Even scientists have beef with that one. Now let's talk about the famous sixth sense from movies. You know the one. When someone's like, something's off, the music goes slow-mo, camera spins, boom, plot twists. Does that make sense? It's probably a combo of a bunch of other senses firing at once, like hearing tiny sounds, noticing subtle light changes, and picking up weird vibes based on past experience. Not because they're Spider-Man, unless they are. And if so, shout out to you, wall crawler. Some folks even count things like hunger, pain, itchiness, time passing, or feeling full as legit senses too. So if your stomach growls and you're like, I need pizza now, that's not your sixth sense talking. It's another one called interception. It's your body's way of saying, yo, something's going down in here. Bottom line? Nope, we don't just have 5 senses. Saying that is like saying your phone's only for calling. Meanwhile, you're over here filming TikToks, turning yourself into a dog with filters, and crying into the camera because grandma's stew is gone. So next time someone's like, we only have 5 senses, give him a dramatic marble stare and go, nah honey, I'm using my 11th sense to sense you're full of nonsense. Section 1. Does sugar make kids hyper? Nope, sweetie. That's your parenting. Alright, listen. This one's been repeated so many times, it might as well be a law of physics at this point. The second a kid eats 2 chocolates, everybody's like, oh no, he's about to climb the walls. First of all, if your kid actually climbs walls after candy, you need to sign him up for parkour classes, not therapy. But let's get real for a sec. Does sugar really turn your kid into the Tasmanian devil? Short answer, nah my dude, it doesn't. Long answer, still no, but it's a little more complicated. See, real scientists, you know, the lab coat gang with glasses thicker than your phone, have studied this. Like real studies, not your aunt's Facebook opinion. And they found 0 scientific link between sugar and hyperactivity in kids. Yeah, you heard me. No connection. If your kid's bouncing off the walls, it's probably because, well, they're a kid. They don't run on solar power. One single lollipop is enough to fuel them for 20 laps around the living room. But that doesn't mean sugar's the villain. It just means they came preloaded with chaos. And here comes the plot twist. Parents are part of the problem. Yup, you? Yes, even the one pretending to read this just out of curiosity. Studies show that when parents expect sugar to hype their kids up, they start noticing and overanalyzing every energetic move like, see, he had 5 cookies. Now he's chasing the cat with a chair. Even though that same kid would have done it without sugar. Probably while holding a celery stick. And then some folks go, but I've seen it. At birthday parties, they eat cake and go full Star Wars. Listen, it's a birthday party. There's balloons, presents, chaos, that Baby Shark song on loop. Those kids could be eating raw broccoli and still be jumping off the furniture like Jedi in training. It's not the sugar, it's the vibe. So if your kid gets a little wild after soda, maybe they're just bored. Maybe they're excited and haven't learned how to channel that energy. That's not sugar rush. That's I'm 6 and the world is my trampoline. Recap? No, sweet pea, sugar's not the problem. The problem is when you hand your kid a chocolate bar without handing them a limit. Or when they're screaming at the top of their lungs and you say, let him have fun. He's just a kid. Yeah, he's a kid. But a kid who doesn't know boundaries also doesn't know where to pour that energy. Moral of the story? Sugar's just sweet. It doesn't summon demons or make your child phase through walls. If you're actually worried about your kid's energy, don't ditch the cookie, fix the structure.